If you're a female footballer who wants to play in the top leagues for your favorite team, then mental toughness it is a must-have skill and is also backed up by research in the female football field. As a sports mindset coach, in the past 2 years, I've worked with athletes from various sports, helping them to build the mental skills required for them to achieve their goals, including winning world champions titles. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how you can build mental toughness by practicing the 5 most important exercises. Before we can talk about building mental toughness, we need to understand what mental toughness is. So, to put it simple, mental toughness is your ability to constantly produce high-level performance despite any challenges or adversities that come your way. For you, the athlete, the footballer, it means your ability to still play at your best despite on your overall team's performance or the score that's on the board in that moment, or even if you personally are making a few mistakes one after the other. So when we're looking even deeper into what mental toughness is, we understand that it is not a singular skill. It is not something that you are born with or part of a personality, although it can be those as well. But we understand that it has many other components. If you think of ingredients and spices of a food that you have to combine them together to get a certain food. Basically, that's what mental toughness is the food that you are cooking, the ultimate product that you make by combining those spices and ingredients. So mental toughness has many components that you need to develop one by one. So the very first exercise is reframing your self-talk. That's right, your self-talk or the conversation that you have constantly with yourself, especially during critical moments in the game or when you are under pressure. When we think about self-talk, probably what you hear most often out there is that you can have positive or negative thoughts in your mind, or you have positive or negative conversations with yourself. When we think about sports and how we apply self-talk in sports, we want to rather think of helpful or unhelpful conversations or self-talk. Why is that? Not every positive conversation that we have with ourselves, not every positive thought it is actually helpful to you and your performance, and not every negative thought is detrimental to you and your performance. Think about it. Let's take the negative example. Saying that you played the game, you had your worst performance ever, and your team lost the game. Now, on your way back home, you are replaying in your mind your whole performance, and you start having thoughts or a conversation with yourself, which might sound like, I can't believe how badly I played today. This was my worst performance ever. I couldn't even make one sharp pass. And on top of all, I didn't even listen to my coach when he was saying, just be aggressive on your attacks. This is my worst performance ever. What am I doing? So when you look at it, this is a negative conversation that you're having yourself because you are critiquing your performance. You are saying to yourself negative words. I couldn't make it a little bit more negative, but for the purpose of the video, because it's out there, I don't want to sound so negative. Anyways, when we look at it, it is a negative conversation that you're having with yourself. But this is actually helpful for you because you are spotting your mistakes that you've made during the game. And when you spot the mistakes, you are able to plan ahead to fix those mistakes, to train your weaknesses. So you see how this negative conversation that you have with you is actually helpful for your performance. Therefore, part of this exercise is for you to create helpful thoughts that help you perform at your best when you are under pressure during important games and even during training. So, to start with, the very first step that you need to take is to build awareness of your thoughts. What kind of thoughts do you have when you're training? What kind of thoughts do you have when you're playing important games, when you are under pressure, or not even when you are under pressure and you're playing relaxing games? What sort of thoughts you have in those moments? For you to be able to become aware of your thoughts, you have to practice something which is called mind scanning. This exercise is good for you to practice it with every single training session, with every single game that you play, but also every single day of your life, being that you are doing training or doing anything else outside not related of your sport. So this mind scanning basically is you stopping for a second and analyzing what is happening in your mind. What kind of conversation are you having with yourself? What is it that you're saying to yourself based on what you're doing in that moment? Catch yourself in the moment and just observe your thoughts. When you are in practice, in training, you have to stop for a second, of course, not during important moments of your training routine, but stop for a second and observe what kind of thoughts you have. Are you saying to yourself, oh, I'm too tired today, so I'm just going to take it easy? Or you're saying to yourself, I have a very important game coming this weekend, I need to give my 100%. Spot your thoughts. Once you're able to become aware of your thoughts and spot the kind of conversation that you have with yourself, right after your training routine, yes, right after, not once you got home, but as soon as you finish your training, you have to sit down and record your thoughts. Record your helpful thoughts that helped you have a really good training session and unhelpful thoughts that made you make mistakes and not perform very well during your training session. Once you spotted your unhelpful thoughts, switch them to helpful thoughts. Find a replacement. And exactly the same practice you have to apply during every single game as soon as possible after you finished your game. But before we move on to all the other exercises, the actual first and most important step for you that you have to take if you want to build mental toughness is to actually practice these exercises. And I know that while you're watching this video, you might not write down any notes. So to make your life easier, I've created a full PDF with every single exercise described into detail, step by step, what you have to do. So your first step should be to download this PDF so that you are ready to start putting in practice all these exercises. The second most important exercise is visualization. You've heard it and probably you've seen it. All top athletes, be that in football or any other sport on this planet, they do practice visualization regularly. You have to make it part of your routine. How can visualization help you with mental toughness? As an athlete, of course, you'll have good days and bad days. Good days, they show you your strengths. Bad days, they show you your strengths and your weaknesses. Visualization, it can happen in the past or in the future. The role that visualization plays in developing mental toughness is that you can prepare ahead for difficult moments so you know how to react and how to respond during those moments. So visualization, you are practicing this at your own time at home. And there are 4 types of visualizations that you can practice. First one is of your past successful performances. Think of your best games that you played. Think of your best performances that you had in the past. Visualize them and try to remember and also feel the moment when you played at your best. What did you do to play at your best? What sort of thoughts you had that helped you to play at your best? What kind of feelings you had when you're playing at your best? The reason why you want to record them is because you want to practice more of these things because clearly they work for you. The second type of visualization is again past unsuccessful performances. You have to visualize the moment when you're making mistakes, when things were not going well for you. Try to remember what sort of thoughts you had in those moments, how you felt in that moment, and what caused your mistakes. And the most important part in here is visualizing what would you do differently now? How would you respond differently to that situation? What different thoughts can you have? What different reactions can you have? Train your mind to respond differently to any situation similar to that. Now, the third type of visualization is visualizing your future positive performance. Think about your next game. Think about your position in the game. Think about how you want to play so that you are performing at your best. What are the kind of thoughts that you should have? What are the kind of movements or skill that you need to bring out? And the fourth one, the trickiest one, visualizing your future unsuccessful performances. Yes, that's right. And this is something that only elite athletes are doing. When they're thinking of the future performance, they're also imagine themselves, their performance going wrong. Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to see yourself failing? It's because you want to be prepared. You want to find a solution ahead of the game. Think about what could go wrong in this game. How can I mess up my performance? What are the things that if I'm not doing it for sure, I know that I will not perform at my best? And prepare yourself for those moments. Think about it. If it is a high pressure game, you start visualizing yourself being super nervous, making mistakes. What should you do in those moments? What kind of thoughts should you have in those moments? Where should you bring your focus in that moment so that you stop feeling nervous, so that you can play at your best, you stop making mistakes? You have to prepare yourself ahead of the game for the mistakes, for the negatives. The third most important exercise is focus. Being able to focus on what matters the most in the moment. Being able to focus on what you have to do in that moment so that you can perform at your best. Elite athletes, they train their focus, their ability to shift the focus on what matters the most in that moment. No matter how they feel, how anxious, how nervous they feel, what the crowd is shouting, what is happening in the background. They have one singular focus, and that is their performance and what they need to do in the moment. To train your focus, the best practice out there, it is called mindfulness. What mindfulness actually is, to put it in simple words, is your ability to be aware of the present moment. By practicing mindfulness and training your focus, it will also help you with your ability to become aware of your thoughts. Remember from the first exercise, in order for you to reframe your thoughts, you have to build awareness. Mindfulness and focus helps you building this awareness. If you've never practiced mindfulness before, you can start with a simple 5 minutes practice. You just lay down in a bed, make sure you have no distractions around you, and do 1 or 2 rounds of deep breathing. Deep breath in, stop for a second, deep breath out. And then just resume your normal breathing and focus on one element of your breathing, such as how the air enters your nostrils or how your chest moves up and down, one singular element. During this practice, if you start catching your thoughts drifting to what should you have for dinner, what happened yesterday, what's the next episode of your favorite serial is going to be about, and so on, just gently bring your attention back on that one singular element of the breathing. That practice right there, that simple moment, catching your thoughts and bringing it back to that singular element of breathing is called awareness. In that moment, you are aware that your mind is drifting away and is doing its own thing, and in this moment, it has something else more important to do. Now, the mindfulness practice, you should practice it every single day at home, in a space where you're not disturbed and you feel comfortable. Once those minutes become a breeze for you, try to increase the practice to 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Once you're getting used with this simple practice, step up and try another mindfulness practice. Mindfulness is not something that you're practicing for a week, 2 or 3. It's something that you have constantly practiced. Yes, maybe you're not practicing every single day, but you want to practice this weekly. The fourth exercise is called challenge and commitment. You have to set up challenging goals for yourself. Goals that are taking you literally outside of your comfort zone, that are testing you physically and mentally. And then once you set up these goals, you have to commit to achieving your goals. How do you set up goals? In sports, there are 2 types of goal that you can set up. First one is outcome oriented, or to put it simple, is what do you want to achieve? Your biggest goal, your biggest dream. What do you want to achieve at the end of the season? That is your one singular goal, one singular focus. Then the second type of goals, we have process oriented. Basically, you take your ultimate goal, your biggest dream, and you're breaking it down into smaller goals. These goals are set up for monthly goals. Then you take these process-oriented goals and you take them even one step further and you break them down into tasks. What are the tasks that you have to achieve weekly and daily to ensure that you're achieving those smaller goals? that will also ensure that once you achieve the smaller goals, it will automatically lead you to achieve your big ultimate goal at the end of the season. This is how you set up goals. You start with the back end, with the biggest goal, and you're breaking it down into smaller and smaller goals. And remember, once you set up the goals, you have to commit to achieve your goals. And the fifth and final most important exercise is evaluation. You have to practice evaluation of everything that you are doing, starting with the very first and most important exercise, your self-talk. You have to evaluate yourself daily, weekly, and monthly. Are you practicing these exercises daily? Do you have any improvements in practicing these exercises? Can you catch yourself faster having those unhelpful thoughts? Are you achieving your daily tasks that you're setting up for yourself? At the end of the week, have you achieved every single goal that you set up for that day? At the end of the month, are you now even better at spotting those unhelpful thoughts, switching them into positive thoughts? You have to practice constant evaluation. Only through evaluation you can spot your progress and you can see the things that are going in the right direction, the things that are going in the wrong direction, and what needs to be changed. So this is how you build mental toughness. You have the 5 most important exercises that you should practice. And again, I put everything into a PDF for you that you can download by clicking the link below. So you can start right now practicing the exercises. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next video.